经济数据。
今天我们很高兴邀请到海关总署新闻发言人、统计分析师司长李奎文先生，请他向大家介绍
spokesperson of the General Administration of Customs and Director General of the Department of Statistics and Analysis, Mr. Kuiwen, and he will introduce about the foreign trade in 2018 and will answer your questions. The floor is yours, Mr. Li. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends from the press, good morning. First of all, welcome to participate in today's press conference. I'm very happy to see you here again. And I will first introduce about the 2018 foreign trade of China, and later on I will take your questions. In 2018, under the strong leadership of the CPC Central Committee and the State Council, all provincial governments and departments of the central government have implemented a number of policies and measures, boosting steady foreign trade growth in an effort to tackle the profound changes in the external environment. As a result, China's foreign trade has developed in a steady manner with progress witnessed, reaching a record high in import and export volume. China is expected to keep its #1 position in the world in terms of trading goods, according to customs statistics. In 2018, China's foreign trade volume reached about 30.51 trillion RMB, an increase of 9.7% compared to that of 2017. And China's exports arrived at 16.42 trillion RMB, up by 7.1%. Imports stood at 14.09 trillion RMB, which grew by 12.9%. The trade surplus was 2.33 trillion RMB, shrinking by 18.3%. In US dollar terms, the trade volume reached about 4.62 trillion US dollar in 2018, an increase of 12.6%. China's exports registered at 2.48 trillion US dollar, increased by 9.9%. Imports hit 2.14 trillion US dollar, up by 15.8%. Trade surplus was 351.76 billion US dollar, dropping by 16.23%. The details are as follows. First, the annual and import and export volume hit a new high in 2005. China's foreign trade volume for the first time exceeded 10 trillion RMB in 2010. It exceeded 20 trillion RMB. In 2018, the trade volume went beyond 30 trillion RMB, about 2.7 trillion RMB higher than 2017's record. Second, the general trade volume rose rapidly and its proportion grew. In 2018, China's general trade volume arrived at 17.64 trillion RMB, an increase of 12.5%, accounting for 57.8% of the country's total trade volume, 1.4 percentage points higher than 2017. The trade mode and structure were improved. Third, the trade volume with major trading partners increased, and trade with countries involved in the Belt and Road Initiative saw a good momentum. In 2018, China's trade volume with its first 3 largest trading partners, such as the EU, the US, and ASEAN countries, went up by 7.9%, 5.7% and 12.2% and 11.2%, respectively. The combination of the three accounting for 41.2% of China's total trade volume. In the same period, the country's trade volume with BRI countries stood at 8.37 trillion RMB, an increase of 13.3%, 3.6 percentage points higher than the growth rate of China's total trade. The potential for trade cooperation between China and BRI countries is being continually unleashed serving as a new engine propelling China's foreign trade development. Among such countries, China's trade volume with Russia, Saudi Arabia, and Greece rose by 24%, 23.2%, and 33% respectively. Fourth, the trade of private sector increased in volume and proportion. In 2018, the trade volume of China's private enterprises reached 12.1 trillion RMB, an increase of 12.9%, accounting for 39.7% of the country's total trade volume, 1.1 percentage points higher than 2017. The export volume of the private sector reached 7.87 trillion RMB, an increase of 10.4%, making up 48% of the national export volume, up by 1.4 percentage points, remaining the largest among all market operators. The import trade volume of private sector arrived at 4.23 trillion RMB, up by 18.1%. In 2018, the private sector contributed to more than half of the growth of the national imports and exports, becoming a highlight in China's foreign trade development. In the same period, the trade volume of foreign invested enterprises stood at 12.99 trillion RMB, an increase of 4.3%, accounting for about 42.6% of the country's total trade volume. The trade volume for China's state-owned enterprises increased by 16.8%, accounting for 17.4% of the national trade volume. Fifth, the trade in central western regions and northeastern regions outpaced the national total, and the development is more coordinated among regions. In 2018, the foreign trade growth rate was 16.1% in the 12 western provinces and municipalities, 11.4% in the 6 central provinces, about 1.7 percentage points higher than the national average, and the increase for 3 northeastern provinces is about 14.8%, 5.1 percentage points higher than the national average. And the foreign trade in the 10 eastern provinces and municipalities grew at a rate of 8.8%. Sixth, electromechanical products cover a higher proportion in the exports, and the export structure continues to improve. In 2018, electromechanical exports increased by 7.9% to 9.65 trillion RMB, taking up 58.8% of China's total export value, and 0.4 percentage points higher than 2017. Exports of automobiles and mobile phones increased by 8.3 and 9.8 respectively, among which exports of seven types of labor-intensive products, such as clothes and toys, rose by 1.2% to 3.12 trillion RMB, accounting for 19% of the national export value. Seventh, imports of major bulk commodities such as crude oil, natural gas, and copper grew in both volume and price, while imports in iron ore and soybeans dropped in volume. In 2018, China imported 462 million tons of crude oil, up by 10.1%. China imported 90.39 million tons of natural gas, up by 31.9%. 33.48 million tons of refined oil, up by 13%, 5.3 million tons of copper, up by 12.9%. Over the same time, China imported 1.064 billion tons of iron ore, down by 1%. 88.03 million tons of soybeans, down by 7.9%. Preliminary calculation shows that in 2018, China's overall import price grew by 6.1%, with the average import price of crude oil, refined oil, natural gas, and copper increasing by 30%, 20%, 22.9% and 3.2% respectively. In 2019, China Customs will try to achieve the aim of seeking improvement in stability under the guidance of the Xi Jinping thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for new era and in the spirit of the 19th CPC National Congress. The second and third plenary session of the 19th CPC Central Committee, implementing the decision of Central Economic Work Conference, and we will seek stability in environment, investment, foreign trade, finance, and other sectors. And we will continue to improve the business environment for the ports, and we will seek the foreign trade stability and growth, and we can better serve the country's economic and social development. With that, I will take your questions. Thank you.
谢谢主持人，我是中央广播电视总台央视新闻中心的记者，请问李司长。
Thank you.
您对2018年啊，我国
From CCTV News Center, may I ask directly, what do you make of the 2018 foreign trade in China? And in the last year, what are the key highlights and features of China's foreign trade? Thank you. In 2018, China's foreign trade has achieved a steady growth, and the trade volume has made a record high. We have improved both on the volume and quality. I believe that for last year, China's foreign trade has achieved a lot. It is hard-earned. We believe that there are 5 aspects. First, we have improved and bettered the environment for business. Last year, we have adopted a series of measures cutting taxes and fees, and we have improved on the port environment. We have bettered the trade facilitation. In October 2018, the World Bank has released a report on 2019 business environment. China's business environment ranking has improved by 32 positions. Cross-border trade has improved from 97th to 65th, an increase of 32 positions. Within this year, China has improved for twice increased the tax refund. It has improved the exports environment. We have taken the initiative in reducing the import tariffs on medicines, imported vehicles and parts, as well as other goods. Second, we can see foreign trade enterprises have made a better performance in 2018. We have a steady economy with growth. The economy grew within an appropriate range, so it creates a good environment for foreign trade. According to statistics, the enterprises with import and export achievements have increased to 470,000, and we have improved upon the vitality for market operators. And third, we have a wide variety of foreign trade partners. We have achieved achievements in terms of the diversification. We have helped positive development with traditional trading partners. We have also expanded trade and economic cooperation with other countries and regions. In 2018, we have close cooperation with BRI countries and African and Latin American countries. This growth has registered about 3.6, 6.7, and 6 percentage points, respectively. Fourth, we have a growth momentum. From the volume and price perspectives, we can see the volume is the driving force. According to customs data, we can see that the import volume index is about 106.4, and export volume index is 103.6, and the volume drive more than half of the growth for foreign trade. And fifth, we have better quality as well as efficiency. The import and export have become more balanced, and regional development has become more balanced, and we have optimized the structure. From the product's perspective, high added value electromechanical products and equipment manufacturing products have registered growth in terms of export. We can see the machine bed for metal has grown by more than 10%, mobile phone more than 9.8%, and for automobile more than 8.3%. For key equipment and parts, consumption goods, the import has increased rapidly. For integrated circuit, increase of about 16.9%, consumption goods 10.9%, and for aquatic foods, 39.9%. Import-export quality and volume have both improved and increased. And these are what we consider about the foreign trade in 2018. Thank you.
谢谢主持人。经济日报社记者提问：我们注意到4季度这个外贸的进口增速略有放缓，请问一下那个
Economic Daily.
原因是什么？
We noticed that for Q4, foreign trade has slowed down in the growth. What are the main reasons? And for the Central Conference on the Economic Work, it has pointed out that we need to have better performance within the steady operations. So what is the better highlights and what are your expectations for 2019 foreign trade? You have made 3 points and questions. I want to answer the first question for the Q4. Foreign trade. In 2018, the fourth quarter, China's foreign trade has a year-on-year growth of 8.8%. A slowdown as compared to previous 3 quarters. I have the following makings. The import-export scale and volume has improved and increased. From Q1 to Q4, China's foreign trade volume is about 6.76, 7.36, 8.18, and about more than 8 trillion. So an increase quarter on quarter. For the Q3 and Q4, the foreign trade has exceeded 8 trillion. So that is a high level. And second, we can see that for the foreign trade increase has been within an appropriate range. We can see a lot of factors have contributed to the slowing down as compared to previous quarters. As compared to Q3, the Q4 base has increased by 5%. If we take a month-on-month perspective, Q4 and Q3, we can see it is an increase of 0.3%. And you have mentioned that for the foreign trade slowdown in Q4, we think that import-export fluctuates. It is common to see that. And it is closely related to domestic foreign economy, international commodity goods price, as well as the pace of foreign trade companies in their operation. If we take a longer perspective, we can see that this kind of fluctuation will be mitigated. And as for what you have mentioned about the hidden concerns in foreign trade, we think that in 2019, the key concern is the external environment. It is profound and challenging. We have uncertainty and instabilities. Some countries have witnessed the insurgence of protectionism and unilateralism, and there is the possibility of a global slowdown, and it may drag on foreign trade and investment. For international organizations, they have adjusted downward the expectation for economic and trade growth across the globe. Recently, the World Bank has downgraded the expectation for economic growth in 2019 from 3% to 2.9%. That reflects that we have certain concerns for the international economy and trade. And third, for 2019, China foreign trade, what do we think about it? And overall, we can say that the domestic economy has maintained the trend of steady and positive growth. And the central government has adopted a series of measures to stabilize foreign investment and foreign trade. It has the influence revealing and unfolding. It is a solid foundation for the positive development of foreign trade in 2019. And external environment is complex and challenging. We have uncertainties and instabilities. Also, we have the increased base figure, and foreign trade growth figure may be lower, but we believe that with our further effort in opening up and with our in-depth undertaking for the supply side reform, in 2019 we may improve the quality and efficiency with steady growth.
发言人你好，俄东塔斯社记者，俄罗斯媒体。按照商务部的统计，2018年12月。
From Russian media, TASS, according to MOFCOM data, in December, the trade between Russia and China has exceeded $100 billion. So what do you make of 2019 China-Russia foreign trade, and what do you expect in 2019? Thank you for your question. In 2018, China-Russia high-level exchanges have helped to enhance the comprehensive cooperation bilaterally, and China's foreign trade with Russia has increased and improved. We have a good momentum according to customs data. In 2018, China-Russia foreign trade hit about more than 705 billion RMB, an increase year-on-year of 24%, accounting for 2.3% of the total import-export. And China's export to Russia, more than 300 billion RMB, an increase of 9.1%. Import from Russia, 390 billion RMB, an increase of 39.4%. If we use US dollar terms, in 2018, bilateral trade registered about 107.6 billion RMB, the first time to exceed 100 billion RMB. It is a record high and an increase of 27.1%. For the increase rate, it is the rapidest among China's 10 trading partners. China export mainly electromechanical goods, and China imported crude oil, coal, and other energy and resource-related goods. And we say that for this year, it is the 70th anniversary for the diplomatic ties. Both countries will join hands in enhancing the strategic and comprehensive cooperation so that we will enhance the comprehensive strategic partnership so as to better serve peoples of both countries, and we can expect new developments for foreign trade relationship.
你好，路透社。I'd like to ask
Reuters.
how do the results of imports and exports with the US in 2018 compare with 2017, and what's your projection for the year to come? Thank you.
翻译一下的。
您好，我是路透社记者。我想请问您对美国的进出口贸易与2018年和2017年相比有何变化？您对2019年的中美贸易有何期待？
The question is about the comparison between 2017, 2018 foreign trade with US, and what do you expect for 2019?
谢谢你的提问，因为中美这个数据大家也会比较关心。
Thank you for your question. China-US data may be all of your concern and attention. I will first introduce about China-US trade data. According to customs data in 2018, China's foreign trade with US dollar about 4.18 trillion RMB, year-on-year growth 5.7%, among which China's export 3.16 trillion RMB, increase of 8.6%, import from US 1.02 trillion RMB, a decrease of 2.3%, surplus about 2.14 trillion RMB, expanding by 14.7%. For US dollar terms in 2018, bilateral trade about 633.52 billion US dollar, year-on-year growth 8.5%, export of China more than 400 billion US dollar, an increase of 11.3%. Import from US about 155.1 billion US dollar, and the expansion of trade surplus about 17.2%. In 2018, China-US foreign trade has maintained a positive and normal growth, and trade surplus is expanding, and we think that it is due to different economic development stage, and it is a result of the complementarity between both economies. So these are the overall situation for China-US trade. Thank you. From Phoenix, we talk about the foreign export. Foreign trade, it is positive. According to previous data, maybe it is because of the strong export. So what do you attribute to these kind of achievements? Is it an overdraft for the 2019 demand? Will there be even mounting pressure on the external demand in 2019? I have introduced about the trend for foreign trade. We believe that overall, the foreign trade for 2019 will maintain a trend where we have the steady volume and better quality. So we have mentioned there are concerns, including external uncertainty, but we believe that the domestic economy will be stable and will have better quality. Against this backdrop, for 2019 foreign trade, it can be expected to maintain steady growth and better quality. So it is actually related to what the CCTV journalist has mentioned. Thank you. From China News Service, we noticed that for 2018, the private sector has taken up a larger share in export and for import. So what are the highlights for the private sector, and for your administration, how do you support private sectors? Thank you for your question. Just now, I have introduced to you the performance for foreign trade on the part of China's private enterprises. We can see the import-export of private sector has registered rapid growth and has taken up a larger share. And for the details, I have the following to offer. There are following highlights. First, we can see the private sector is more energetic in import-export. In 2018, with actual import and export, there are about 372,000 enterprises. More and more enterprises have participated in foreign trade. And from the scale side, we can say that for private sector has contributed more than 50% to the foreign trade of that year. And it has lifted the foreign trade. And I can say, secondly, the regional layout has been optimized in 2018. The Central, Western, and Northeastern private enterprises have increased by 20.3%, 18.9%, and 16.7%, higher than the 12.1% for the Eastern region. So we have this development and this double-digit growth. And thirdly, import-export enterprises have optimized their structure. In 2018, for export, the export of electromechanical products account for more than 40%. For integrated circuit, automobiles, mobile phones, as well as the liquid crystal screen has increased by 51%, 16.8%, and 14.1% respectively. And for import of electromechanical goods have accounted for more than 40%. For integrated circuit, increase of 35.3%. And for agricultural goods, the preliminary plastic products has increased by 11% and 27.5% respectively. And for customs, we have supported the private sector, and we are implementing the guidelines by President Xi Jinping on the conference with private sectors. So we have adopted a serious measures to support the private sector. I have the following points to make. First, we have undertaken pilot programs in the guarantee and insurance of tariffs, and we have introduced insurance companies for the guarantee of the tax of customs. It can reduce the burden on small and medium enterprises so that we can encourage the innovation. And for the small and medium enterprises, we can have the demonstration platforms for the public service and other R&D services. We reduce and we exempt the import tax. And secondly, we can see import-export enterprises can use an online system and to have one package report. And more than 60% of these operators are private sector. And for annual declaration, the items have been reduced by 70%. And we are serving the private sector to go abroad, go global. We have cooperated with 36 countries and regions. We have the mutual recognition of AEO, and we supported private enterprises to enjoy the trade facilitation measures imposed by other customs and countries.
谢谢主持人，中央广播电视总台央视财经记者，想问一下李司长，就是我们知道在12月初跨境电商的政策呢，
From CCTV.
也经过发布会进一步明确了。
We know that for the beginning of December, we have the promulgation of the cross-border e-commerce, and we want to know about the import-export data, especially for retailing data for the whole year, and especially for December. Will there be a substantial increase for this month? Thank you for your attention on this. Cross-border e-commerce has been a key area for the customs regulation. We know that we have the e-commerce law coming into force since the 1st of January 2019, and the adoption of this law has provided a base for the regulation on e-commerce, as well as we can protect the IPR and consumer rights based on this law. In cooperation with MOFCOM, we have adopted the overall plan for the regulation on cross-border e-commerce, and we have adopted certain notices and regulations concerns different items of cross-border e-commerce. We identify the application of this law as well as the responsibility and liability of the participants in cross-border e-commerce, and we have specified certain regulations so we can enhance certain regulation. We can share with you some data in 2018 through the online platform of cross-border e-commerce. The retailing volume reached about 134.7 billion RMB, an increase of 50%. Export about 56.12 billion RMB, an increase of 67%. Import more than 78 billion RMB, and an increase of 39.8%. Next time, we will have an improvement on the information platform, and for the tax management, declaration, as well as quota control, we can have better management so that we can better serve the needs for the regulation on cross-border e-commerce.
Thank you. I'm with the German newspaper Die Welt. Could you provide us with some import and export numbers on the trade with Europe, Germany, and if possible also with North Korea? Thank you.
翻译一下的。
您好，我来自德国《世界报》。您能否向我们提供一些关于中国与欧洲、与德国以及与朝鲜的重要出口数据？谢谢。
我先回答一个关于跟中欧的关系。谢谢你的提问。
So I will first talk about China-Europe trade. Thank you for your question. And I would rather talk about China and EU trade data. According to customs data in 2018, China-EU foreign trade about 4.5 trillion RMB, year-on-year growth 7.9%. For EU export, China's export to EU about 2.7 trillion RMB, about 7% of increase. Import from EU, 1.8 trillion RMB, increase of 9.2%. And EU remains China's largest trading partner and the largest source of import. We can say that China, Europe are each other's important trading partner, and for a long time we can see that both parties have become essential over the long term for each other's trade development.
所以呢，我想就中欧的这个数据总体供你掌握。至于说中德的具体数据，我们会在我们相关的网站。
So this is for the China-Europe data, but specifically for China-Germany data, we may have a release on our websites if you can refer to the websites. And for China-North Korea, I can provide certain data here.
据海关统计，2018年，我国对朝鲜进出口
According to customs data in 2018, China-North Korea foreign trade overall volume about 16.09 billion RMB, decrease of 52.4%. China's export decreased by 33.3%. Import from North Korea about 1.42 billion RMB, decrease of more than 80%. Surplus expanded by 29.9%. For China-North Korea trade, we have strictly adopted the resolution of UN Security Council, and China's customs have always implemented the UNSC resolutions comprehensively and exactly, so that we undertake the trade relationship with North Korea in accordance with UNSC resolution.
谢谢主持人，第一财经的记者啊。 我想问一下，就是18年我们的进口表现有哪些特点？
From the first finance,
出台的各项扩大内需
in 2018 for China's import, what are the features? And we have certain measures to expand domestic demand and to boost consumption. So what will be the influence on 2019 import? From the perspective of import-export, I will answer your question. From the perspective of import, we have adopted a series of measures to stabilize foreign trade, and we take the initiative to expand import. In 2018, the import has increased by 12.9%. So that is a good trend. And here are the features. First, the volume has played a larger role in lifting the import. In 2018, the volume index for import is 106.4. The volume has increased by 6.4% year-on-year. The volume has contributed about 51.2% to the expansion of import. The price index 106.1, an increase of 6.1% year-on-year, and certain items with decreased tax, the import has increased. The cosmetics has reached about 65 billion RMB, and water goods has increased by 36.9%. Even all these figures are higher than the overall increase in import. And third, we can see the micro participants have become more energetic with import. We have more than 211,000 import enterprises. And for enterprises newly engaged in import, it is about 57,000, about an increase. So this shows that we have taken a series of measures which have stimulated the vitality of enterprises in imports. And for export, in 2018, China has increased for twice the rate of tax refund for export. It has boosted the export of certain goods. On the 15th of September, China has increased the tax refund on 397 items for the cultural and mechanical goods. And for this kind of goods, it covers about more than 745 billion RMB. And on the 1st of November, we cover about more than 1,200 items. And for this second batch, it is worth more than 1.53 trillion, a year-on-year growth of 7.5%. And the growth is about 0.4 percentage points more rapid than the overall growth of export. And for November and December, the export growth has accelerated, reaching about 13.3%, more than 7.1 percentage points as compared to previous 10 months.
谢谢主持人，我是香港经济导报记者。那我就接上刚才那个第一财经记者的问题，问问李司长。从海关的这个视角来看，您认为今年我国在扩大进口方面将呈现哪些特点？谢谢。
From the customs perspective, for the expansion of import, what are the features in 2019?
谢谢你的提问。关于扩大进口，其实刚才有几个问题都提到了。
Thank you for your question. For
在国内这个扩大进口的这个大的背景下
I think that for
特别是去年我们是
China to expand import
进口博览会，也是发出
for
了
2018 we have
进口的一个信号。
the first ever China import fair, and it sends a signal for us to expand our import. And overall, from the perspective of trade balance, as well as supporting domestic economy, we need to import key parts and consumption goods. And for 2019, we will continue to expand our import with even larger steps. And for this year, we will hold the second China Import Fair, and we will continue to expand, opening up comprehensively, and we will take the initiative in expanding import. So for this year, 2019, the government will stabilize the foreign investment and foreign trade, and we will adopt further measures in expanding import. And we will, from the customs perspective, we will continue to help to expand import and facilitate trade, and we will adopt further measures. And it is expected that we can have even substantial achievements in imports. Due to time limits, that is the end of today's press conference. Thank you.